Nothing has really changed a whole lot. 65 miles an hour. The winds have remained that way pretty much all morning. The pressure dropped until this update, and then it's also kind of showed a leveling off at 988, and it's moving to the northwest at 14 miles an hour. At this point, it's about 310 miles from the mouth of the Mississippi River. As of the 7 a.m. update, it was about 360 miles. So we've seen it kind of crawling along there at that 14-mile-an-hour rate, and that's exactly what they're getting. The hurricane hunters are when they find the center and then track it out a little bit from that way. All right, here's the again the information. If you're one of those folks that likes to track the storms at your house, there's the coordinates: 26.1 and 85.3. This data you just saw. Let's show you the new track, because this was also one of the things that updated with that 10 o'clock advisory, the track. Now, not too much of a change with it. Monday, about 75 miles an hour. As we head into Tuesday morning, could get up to 80 miles an hour. But notice how kind of the consensus, which is the middle, does kind of move right over the Mississippi River. Now, don't put too much stock into that, because the cone of uncertainty still shows that it could be anywhere here. But also, keep this in mind, the cone of uncertainty now, both sides of it would be both areas where we would see pretty dramatic impacts from the storm. So the cone of uncertainty getting a little bit smaller, I guess you could say the uncertainty becoming more certain. But then Wednesday early morning, the winds probably still about 80 miles an hour or so. That's as of 7 a.m. Doesn't look like this thing's going to get to Category 2 strength. In fact, there are some models that imply that it won't even get to hurricane strength, staying right about 70 miles an hour, which would keep it as a high-end tropical storm. But the path overall then continuing to drag off to the north. So we've had folks asking us on Facebook and even calling the Weather Center saying, hey, I want to go north. Is that a good spot to go? Probably not overall, with the storm moving like it's going. Again, this is just the center, so you're going to be feeling effects back into Florida today, and even back over into Houston, potentially with that wraparound rain, if it holds all the way up, maybe parts of eastern Texas dealing with some showers. But overall, if you wanted to pick a spot, you would probably want to go farther east into areas in Alabama and maybe even into Georgia. Say Atlanta, that's a good spot to get away. I know it is kind of hot this time of year, but overall it's not a bad area to go. Probably one of the spots that will stay dry. The enhanced satellite image showing two different areas. The primary area right here. Now this is, of course, Isaac, and notice how at the end you can see how the middle of the storm getting even deeper red, implying that, you know, maybe there's still some convection happening. Now, we certainly expect the convection to keep happening. When I say that word, that just means kind of the clouds building on top of each other, using that warm water in the Gulf of Mexico to get stronger, and then some showers back over into parts of Florida. We've seen it this year. We've seen it happen a couple of times where a system will either make landfall and then pop out on the other side. This might be an area that the National Hurricane Center chooses to watch. Of course, that would be later in the future, maybe a week or so down. We, of course, have all of our eyes on Isaac right now, continuing to move off to the northwest at 14 miles an hour, looking like we could see some impacts from Isaac starting late tonight and then really ramping up as we push into tomorrow, and then landfall probably happening Tuesday night into Wednesday. Take a look at these outer rain bands here that are impacting those beaches along the Florida coastline. That rain's going to continue to push over to the west, and that's how we're going to start to initially see some showers here. I think maybe that rain late tonight, we could see some of that outer band of rain making its way through southeast Louisiana. Also, some of the wind. Wind is going to be increasing throughout the day. The winds right now aren't terrible, but I think we will see them increasing later tonight into tomorrow, where the maximum wind gusts by Tuesday into Wednesday could be as high as the 100-mile-per-hour mark. Here's the center of the storm. Notice how the rain is kind of wrapping around the center a bit. Now, the eastern side of the system is the wet side, and that's where all the rain is. The western side not as wet, but you're seeing right along the center that there is some obvious spin there, and also the fact that some of that moisture is continuing to wrap all the way around. That is usually an indicator of strengthening, but of course at the 10 o'clock advisory we haven't necessarily seen that strengthening happen with all the numbers remaining consistent. So we'll see what happens later in the afternoon today. Early this morning, the spaghetti plots were all right here. Now they've shifted a bit over more so the metro area and really into that whole southeast Louisiana portion. Don't read too much into that. I know a lot of people will say, oh, it's shifting, it's moving back east. It's not going to move that much farther east because there's just not enough time for it to make a drastic shift. The next run with these hurricane models and what we call spaghetti models, yeah, it might move it a bit farther east, it might move it a bit farther west, but at this point it's not a huge concern really, because either way we know it's moving in this direction and we know we're going to see the effects from it. We're going to get winds, we're going to see rain, and we're going to get some storm surge as well. We do have a hurricane warning out there. Here's the projected cone, and as we zoom kind of down into southeast Louisiana, this deep red color is your hurricane warning. The orange is your tropical storm warning. What that means is hurricane conditions are possible within the next 36 hours, looking like, if you can kind of see it down here, faded a tad, looking like it could be making landfall there as that Category 1 storm. How will this affect the forecast from here on out? Well, we know today is going to be mostly dry. I mean, folks that are looking out their window are probably thinking, tropical storm, what tropical storm are you talking about? That's not going to impact us today. 93 degrees, breezy, partly cloudy skies. It's going to be hot, it's going to be humid, but that breeze will actually probably feel pretty nice. Wind picking up then overnight, and we could start to see some shower activity increasing during those late nighttime hours. And then it's Tuesday, it's Wednesday, and the storm system exiting us more on Thursday, so we could still see some showers. Temperatures are going to be cut drastically down into the 80s because it's going to be cloudy and windy and rainy. Some of that weather, some of that could get pretty severe. And when I talk about severe, I mean that there is a chance with those rotating bands that we might get an isolated tornado popping up. And that's what, as meteorologists tracking a tropical system, that's one of the things that we really watch for, is that chance for some of that severe weather to build. So overall, that's what the forecast looks like. And then after it exits on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we will see temperatures starting to creep back on up with just that scattered chance for some showers. Keep an eye, though, because the forecast could change a bit depending on timing, and Laura kind of got into this a little bit. If the system were to speed up a little bit, we might see more of that rain starting later tonight, and then potentially the whole system itself exiting earlier on Thursday, whereas right now it kind of looks like it would be Thursday morning into the afternoon hours.